Marketing is a battlefield. Trends shift, strategies evolve, and only the bold stay ahead.
So, how do you cut through the noise and make an impact?
Welcome to the Marketing Pulse podcast, where we decode marketing one powerful conversation at a time.
Hosted by Mukwemba Mangangu, Tukia Tambatamba, and me, Grace Gondwe, we bring you insights, strategies, and real talk on what's shaping the industry.
Ready? Let's get into it. Hi, Grace.
Hi, Tukia. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Mukwemba.
Hi, Grace. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm good. Good to hear your laugh after a while.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute. Has it been that long? It hasn't.
Okay.
But it's good to know that you miss my laugh.
Yes, even the people miss your laugh. I have had people tell me, that guy with the booming laughter.
I beg to differ.
But why are you differing? I'm telling you what people have told me.
No, it's just that when you've lived and heard this laugh for so long.
Yeah. I see.
No, that's a problem. You miss it when I'm gone. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
But Minister, don't say that.
Yeah. You see?
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Still talking about being gone. Anyway, we're here now. Excited to get into today's conversation.
Yeah.
Please introduce our guest for us.
Before we even get into that.
Okay.
So today we're talking about beyond the sale. And mastering customer experience in marketing. Okay, something I guess a lot of people tend to take for granted. Because now a lot of us are just, so involved in how do we just sell something, do we make our money without actually thinking the world we're living in today, how are people, taking the experience into account for, you getting them back to your business as a return customer.
Yeah.
Okay. And the compelling stat that we have is that 86% of customers are willing to pay more for a great experience, yet only a fraction of business truly prioritize customer experience.
That's an interesting statistic.
86% is a lot, actually.
Honestly, I'm one of those 86% people.
True.
Yeah.
True. I always say, like, if I have extra disposable income, I would always pay for convenience or better customer service. So I'm definitely part of the 86.
And I think it becomes more like that as you grow older.
Yeah.
You want convenience, you want ease. You don't have time for inconveniences. So that's a very interesting stat.
No, it is. Let's get into it. So in today's fast-paced business world, building strong brands and driving sales requires creativity, strategy, and innovation. Our guest today is a seasoned marketing and communications expert with a track record in delivering impactful campaigns across multiple industries. With over 20 years experience in marketing, PR and advertising, spanning Zambia, Botswana, and Lesotho, he has shaped award-winning brands and product campaigns. A thought leader and conference speaker, he currently serves as the council secretary for the Zambia Institute of Marketing and is executive head marketing and innovation at African Grey Insurance Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Brian J. Silungwe. Welcome.
Thank you. Whoa, that was... I was wondering, is that me? But that was awesome. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
Oh, yes. No, we're happy to have you and that you could make the time to be with us.
Indeed.
Because I know from the time I got in touch with you, like, I will move the program I have on Saturday for you. And I think that
it's an honor.
means a lot.
It's an
honor for us.
Indeed. Thank you.
Tukia was just saying, I think you've worked together in a past life.
Yes.
So Tukia was saying, he used to be my boss and so on and so forth. And we were going through your bio and he's like, 20 years.
Yeah. I worked with Tukia, we interacted and, in our previous lives, both of us, we worked together and all that. But for that stint, I'm sure he was now wondering, thinking, Yes, Tukia, indeed. It's been 20 years. It's been that long. Even I can't believe it. But that part when we were together adds to that 20 years.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Cool. 20 years is a long time. Congratulations
awesome,
on the 20 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I must say, Mr. Silungwe was my first boss.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So that was the genesis of my marketing career.
That's interesting. That's
awesome.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah. And as a marketer, he'd always be like, I've got the coolest boss.
Just
like, must be nice.
We're not just saying that because
I'm wondering now.
That was what, 5 years ago. Yeah. 4 years ago. Yeah. No, I did mention that. So, sir, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for starting this marketing career.
No, thank you. No problem. You're okay.
So we have some opening questions, but I think we would like to hear about what that 20 years has looked like, how you got into the industry before we ask our consistent first few questions that we ask our guests.
Yeah, that's great. When I say this, people wonder, is this really true? Yeah, but it is true. I actually stumbled into marketing by accident,
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I started off with. I started off as a communications expert. Yeah, so I studied communications journalism, and along the way, as I worked through my career, my strength and passion was actually in marketing and not on the other side. But media communications, it works alongside marketing.
Yes, that's
and
true.
For me, that was a compliment. So when I came now to settle for what I have been doing most of my life, which is marketing, PR communications was actually a very, very good compliment for me. And I found it very, very easy to do my marketing because of my background in media. And that actually exposed me. It gave me a lot of time to interact with people that really helped me and shaped me to be the person that I am today. And I think I just appreciate that moment. Without it, I don't think I would have excelled in my career as a marketer today.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like that. We like to ask some of these backstories because we have a lot of young people who are listening to the podcast who are early career, in the first few years of their career. And I always find it interesting because we've had quite a few guests who've told us, I didn't start out wanting to do marketing.
Right.
I started out doing this other thing and started out doing this other thing. And then I found myself in this space. And it just goes to say look, your career, you figure it out as you go.
That's right.
It's not, your first job might not be it. It might not even be your second job, but as you go along, you meet what it is that you do well.
And the best I can tell you is that one really has to have an open mind, If you're closed up, then you're just closing yourself to so many other opportunities.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep your head up and open up your mind, be open to a lot of stuff that comes along, and you never know what best suits you, and you make it.
Yeah. Thank you.
At least we have that on lockdown.
Yeah.
Open-minded. Yeah, no, definitely.
Remain open-minded and be deliberate. And you never know the opportunities that you have in store for you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Silungwe, so we'll go into our first compulsory question, like we say. How do you define marketing?
Right. How do we define marketing? For me, I think I would love to go with a textbook. I know we've got so many definitions of marketing. You can name it. And coming from the scholars like the Philip Kotlers, Tuki, you remember these things. Mook, you remember Grace, from school, uni and all that. They taught us and they come with these thick textbooks and tell you to master about 10 definitions of marketing and all that, and you're expected in your exam to be able to elaborate and define those. But I would like to go with the one that has picked from everywhere and formed one definition of marketing, which for me I think describes the whole process, the entire spectrum of what marketing really is. It says the management process used for identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer needs and wants through creation, communication, and delivering value. I told you I'm coming from a communications background. The fact that this word is mentioned in this statement, I love it.
Happy.
But at the end of the day, it's whatever you do, it has to make it profitable. And that sums it all for me in terms of what marketing is all about. And I love that. Yeah.
Interesting. We often hear the definitions and then we look at them and see. And I think that holistic perspective of it's not any one thing, right?
That's right.
Some people will look at marketing and focus on the sales side, and some will look at it on the advertising side, but it's really the holisticness of it that makes marketing unique.
Yes, indeed.
And I was just like, it's just a thought that came up. I think Kotla was really in his bag when he gave us that definition. What I've just picked out there is the anticipation, which I think in 2025 has really come to light, because if you can't anticipate or think forward about what your consumers want, what your customers want, what your competitors are doing, then you're lacking behind. Anticipation is now like a big deal.
Exactly. Yeah, coming from the hard times and all that, but you just want to position yourself rather than being pessimistic. You want to be optimistic and look forward to a brighter future. So that anticipation remains there, and it's what will bring fortunes for us.
Yeah,
awesome, indeed. As a forerunner, as an expert in the industry and also in customer experience, what's the best experience you've ever had when we talk about customer experience that's memorable for you, before we actually get into the definitions of what customer experience is?
Right. Wow. Talking about experiences. Okay. I think I'll give you this one particular one, which really for me, I think does it. It's not even related to the product, but it's related to service that I experienced. Over the years, I've really been exposed to a number of things, a number of places and people and all that. But this one particular time, I traveled for some further studies in Sweden. And we were going to a small town called Kalmar in Sweden. So when we traveled, you travel all the way, you go through all these places and whatever. You get to Heathrow. From there, you proceed. When we got to Sweden, I have heard and I have seen of presidents being chauffeured, being welcomed, being given the VIP treatment and all that. I was just a young man. And when we got to the airport, man, the first thing that I saw was just this big, gigantic, guy, white guy with a beard like this. And he was holding a very nicely designed placard with my name on it. And he had all the pictures, all the background information about me, and just the way he received me was just amazing. I was wondering, I said, but this guy, where has he walked up from? And how come is it really? I think you probably are mistaken. You're looking for somebody else. I don't think I deserve this kind of treatment. He received me very well and, called me by name. And he knew how I appeared even before he could meet me. And I had no idea who this person is. And he took me immediately, got my bags, took me to the VIP stand, stayed there for a while. I said, just sit here. We'll take care of everything for now. Just wait. He put the bags aside and did the run around and whatever, came back. Said, oh, please, Mr. Silungwe, let's go this way. We just get there. They just stamp my passport. I'm on my way. And before I knew it, I was being directed into a VIP Volvo waiting for me just out there. And I jumped there. And by the way, I went for a school program at in Kalmar, at Kalmar University in Sweden. It was a program that was organized for communication experts in the region, and I was fortunate to be one of the people that was picked to be part of that program to go and study in Sweden for that long. So there's a number of us, and but when I arrived first, and I was directed. I jumped into the vehicle. Little did I know that there was a convoy of other vehicles also being received, in a similar fashion. And we started off, driving down, and we got to the university. They took us to where we were staying, and everything was just VIP treatment. And now, what was memorable for me, apart from that service that I've just told you, my daughter was born when I was not home. My firstborn daughter was born when I was not home, and she was born while I was out there in. I told my wife, I said, you know what, you have to hang in there until I come back. Please don't do anything. Just have to wait. I need to be there when this child is born. But oh no, they couldn't wait. So I was born while everybody that I was with knew what was going on and all that. But the facilitators of our program had every information to the detail about each one of us. They knew I was expecting a child. We were expecting a child and all that. They knew when the child was born, they would talk and all that. And they threw a surprise party for me, for my child. They bought gifts, and the people that I was with on the program, they just went all out, and I had no idea when all that was happening. And they told me that afternoon, we have a bride, and you are in charge and whatever. I didn't know what was going on. They blindfolded me, got into the house, and they told me, everybody is actually being blindfolded. You have to get in. Now, this is the time. I thought everyone else was, but it was just me. And by the time I got in the house, and they just removed the cloth, and I saw what was going on, my child's name written all over the walls, balloons, whatever, music, and it was just amazing. For me, that was a memorable experience. First of all, starting with the service from the airport, the treatment, and now something that is will leave a lasting impression upon me. My daughter was born on that day, and they threw that party for her. And we are talking, my daughter is now 19, she's in university now. She knows this story herself. That's how much memorable it is, because just not from me, but for her as well. So this is something great, and this is how far you can take service, because you have to leave that lasting experience in your customers. And I was their customer, and they achieved that.
And they did just that.
Wow,
that's crazy.
That's I don't think there's anything that can top that. No. The personal, how personal. Nothing. When they find you with a placard, you have to go to them and be like, "Hi,
it's me. I think you've come for me." But, no.
That's an amazing.
Yeah, there was no question, no doubt. It was just great.
Wow.
Awesome experience.
That's a lot, and for me, it just reminded me of a quote by Maya Angelou. It says, "People forget what you said. People may forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel."
Yes. I love that. That's my favorite quote. Yeah. You nailed it, Mook. I love that. Yeah.
So,
I've
never heard anything like that in my life. That's amazing. Yeah, from an emotional perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
Because it's one of those things where people have experience, but it's usually like, okay, this person was at seminar and you're speaking to people about his experience, right? And you're like, but could tell you about
yes.
Maybe that's why.
Like far
but
away,
now to be in the presence of someone who's actually
something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm officially keeping all my customer experience stories to myself.
When Mugamba asked that, I don't even know. Do I have a good memory with customer? Oh man. Please let's move on.
No, maybe we'll talk about service recovery.
maybe we'll talk about that. Yeah. So anyway, we want to have an understanding of customer experience. Like we talk a lot about especially like marketing, and I think we've had like a lot of general conversations about customer experience, but we haven't gotten into specifically what it is. So having given us the story of your favorite customer experience, if somebody came to you, if someone is joining your team and maybe their background is not in marketing, how would you communicate to them what customer experience is and how you would want customers to feel through the customer experience that you provide?
Right. First of all, I can start off by just giving a bit of meat to what this customer experience is all about. For me, I believe that customer experience is like you put everything together. Whatever you are doing in your company or with your brand, whatever you are doing, that it is, whether it's a service or the product that you're selling, whatever, all these things put together. So it is basically the sum of the customer's interaction with a brand that the brand has with the customer. So it doesn't matter what it is. If it's a service, the customer has to have that interaction with it throughout that customer journey. The brand that you are actually pushing to sell that product which you have, that journey, the entire experience that you have as a customer is what we refer to as customer experience. Remember what Tukia just, that quote he gave from Maya Angelou, that speaks into this exactly. How you make the customer feel. What is that? So it starts from the touch point up to the point when they experience your service, your interact with your brand, and they actually do experience your product or your service that you do. So it's the entire journey that we are talking about here. And it's crucial and critical because it's those lasting impressions that you leave with your customer that will cause them to be loyal to you, and you allow them to do those repeat purchases. They'll keep coming back to you, using your service. They'll keep coming back to you, buying your products. So for me, that's how I can describe the customer experience journey.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. And I like the aspect of where you talk about every aspect of the business and the brand, right? I think we have this notion of where we try to leave it sometimes to just the frontline stuff, right? The people who are interacting with you, not knowing that if the people in finance say there's a problem with like payments, it all affects the experience someone is having.
Yeah. So even if the receptionist is smiling.
Exactly. So if all the other departments are not aware of, their role and how they should ensure that it's as efficient, as smooth as possible, you end up doing everything right. And that one aspect being the reason someone says, it wasn't that great.
A good experience.
Yeah. And it's crucial because, customers generally, people just expect personalized service. Yes. Especially now more than ever.
Yes.
People, they know what's good. They know what's happening. They know they're right. They know what they need to have. Because, a customer today, you can't lie to them. You can't cheat them. They have information.
Yes.
They're exposed to a lot of things. So they know what they want. Yes. So they are expecting you to give them that personalized service. And I remember the experience that I've just told you about, my experience. It was personalized. And I really felt it, and it left a lasting impression in my mind. So that's very, very critical for customer experience. And remember, if you do that to a customer, they become your ambassadors.
Yes.
So what will work now, it will be word of mouth marketing.
Yes.
They will go out and preach about you. They'll preach about your brand. They'll preach about your service. They'll preach about your product. And they'll tell everybody. They'll tell the whole world because of that experience which you gave to them. They feel so good about it. And it will grow and it will keep going. Yeah. And in this competitive world today, you can't win without that. No. Yeah. So that's all you have to do.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Because I think before we did this episode, we were asked us to read, we were reading about a book by Seth Godin, The Purple Cow.
All right.
Okay, so he basically talks about how you need to be remarkable for people to hear you, right? Because now we're in the world where, like you've said, people market you on their own. So to be able to have people speak,
become ambassadors,
like you must really be remarkable in your business that people decide, let me go out and ensure other people know. Because you find that they are cadres, they will do more than even the same people who work in your institution for your business. And I think that speaks to the crucial element that you were talking about for why customer experience is very crucial.
Yeah. And just from a statistics point of view, a research done 56 countries by Nielsen says 91% of customers trust word of mouth as opposed to the original adverts by that particular company or organization.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what you're saying, to say we're always bombarded with advertising, commercials, pop-ups and everything. But 91% of people would rather trust a recommendation from a friend,
someone they trust.
Someone they trust.
Yes.
So that becomes very, very powerful in terms of actually enhancing your customer experience as an organization.
Yeah. I think the next thing that we would like to understand is, with your experience in customer experience and with your experience with brands around the country, we're a very Zambian podcast.
Yeah.
Where are the gaps with Zambian brands? Where are the challenges with Zambian brands, and how can we work at, dealing with the struggles that organizations have with ensuring that we're providing a world-class customer experience?
Right. There are a number of gaps, and I think for most individuals, most companies, there's one aspect which we neglect to do, and that is to know your customer. Because if you don't know your customer, you won't know how to treat them. You will not know what they need. You will not know their interests, that they particularly want something in their life to happen. So if you get to know about them to that extent, you will be able to provide what we call tailor-made solutions for them. Because the reason why I should be there as somebody who provides a service or a product to a customer is so that I meet their demand, I meet the need. You remember from the definition that the marketing definition we talked about there. So we need to identify those needs. But how do you identify those needs if you don't even start by knowing who your customer really is? You won't be able to achieve that. So it's very, very important. And for me, the biggest gap that I have seen, I think, in the market is not taking time to know your customer. And knowing your customer is in various ways. Research. I think we've neglected research a great deal in this country. We have really done that. And that's the most important part of marketing, actually. It's research. Even if I have to come up with a product today, how do I just from the blues come up with a product? No one will buy. It's not. No one is looking for that kind of product or service. I first of all need to go out in the market, find out what do people need. What is it that when I produce this, people will actually consume this service, they will consume this product. So that is, for me, that is the biggest gap. I can talk about a lot of other gaps, but predominantly research and knowing your customer is the missing link there. And I think no company or no brand will ever go wrong if they do a research about their customers. They know the buyer behavior, how customers behave. Sometimes you can even produce the best product or the best service on earth, but maybe you've produced it at the wrong time and people won't buy. So you have to know everything at every touch point from the time that you design that product. Of course, that's after information that these customers actually do need this. But am I producing it at the right time? Even when sometimes we go ahead and produce products, but we store them for a due season. When that season comes, you go all out and produce it, and you can go all out and advertise on TV, radio, billboards, social media, digital media, and all that, because that's the season, that's the right time. And trust me, people would indeed consume that product. So I really would push the strong words on taking time to know our customer, because that's the biggest gap that we have there. And I think once we do that, we'll see a difference. The story will change.
Oh, yes, because I think generally the culture, our reading culture, even just like you've said, as a country needs to change. Okay, and a lot of effort in research. And you find even just like from an academic standpoint, you find that the worst experience for most people is when they need to start doing the research, the reading, the dissertations. That is like that's the one thing if they told them, can you do 3 more courses in place of this, they'll be like, I'll do it. Just so I can take that out. And I think that in itself is a problem, because if we don't engage, we are not going to know what problems we are facing. So that also just goes in like marketing with a lot of like what we should do should always be an outward in approach, as opposed to, like you've said, us deciding on ourselves and then taking it out.
Yes. Just to add on to that, people always talk about, very similar to what you said, the whole big idea or looking at things from a very big perspective, but we underestimate how much taking a step back, looking back at maybe what was done previously or what people are currently doing in order to better ourselves. And for me, you've mentioned knowing your customer. I think it needs to be a continuous process.
That's
where it's
right.
continuous, active listening as well as continuous improvement. Because if you're continuously listening to your customers, that's the only way you're going to know how to upsell your products and services.
That's right.
And also how to cross-sell your products and services. So without that continuous active listening, I don't think brands would get ahead of themselves in the market. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think sometimes take a step back.
Yeah, and sometimes products, campaigns, whatever, has worked well from the time that we set out and push them out to the market. But along the way, it stalls. Or something just doesn't go right. So that's the moment where you need now to stop. Like you are saying, Tuki, you review.
Yes.
Review. Where have we gone wrong? Or where can we really, just tweak some things here so that we can get the desired results and meet our objective. So you take a step back and review, and then re-engineer, and then go back to market. You'll find that at the end of the day, you'll be able to achieve your objective.
Maybe I can just jump on there before we go to the next question, is just to make it a bit more practical, because I think something that we like to do with this podcast is, even from like a small business perspective, is practically what does that look like? You know, does it look like now there's easy things like even on your Facebook, you can have a poll. Even on your WhatsApp, you can have a poll. Google has forms. You can just send a link. And I think I've gone to Shodo, where there's a QR code where they say please scan after they give you the service, they say please scan the QR code and give us a review or whatever about your experience. So so when we say research, it can look like this big thing that can be super complicated and you're thinking about how do I do it? Yes. But it can be as simple as when a customer buys something from you, if you sell on WhatsApp or on Facebook, on your Facebook page, when they buy, say thank you for buying, can you please click on this link and just give a response on how the experience has been, or on what kind of products, and if we can get in touch with you for future business. And in that way, you are getting information about the people who are doing business with you, and how you can better provide a service for them. Exactly,
it's very practical. We see this every day. You go to Nando's, you buy your food there. I'm not advertising for Nando's, by the way. You go to Nando's, that's my favorite takeaway, by the way. Now I'm advertising for that. So you buy food, you get your receipt. They will tell you, please rate us, review how you find our service, how the food is, and whatever. That is one of the things that you do. It's not expensive. While you're selling and you're doing that, the customer's already paid for that research. So just get their feedback, and you just go clever about some of these things. Just be smart, and you'll be able to get as much information as possible from your customer, and that will help you on how you can improve your service and your products going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, when you spoke about Nando's, I'm a foodie. I know I missed the opportunity to talk about food.
We better have food after this.
Well, for me, when it comes to customer experience, something very simple, but it was a big deal to me. As a customer, for someone who's very indecisive when it comes to picking food, I'm a cadre for debonaires.
Okay.
Yes, when they introduced the half and half on a pizza, that changed my life.
So I don't need to choose one.
Yes, I don't need
to give me that and that.
Yes, that was a game changer for me from a customer experience point of view.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, but let me get into the next question. So from your perspective, how does marketing contribute to shaping customer experience beyond advertising and promotions?
How does customer experience shape customer experience going forward in our customers? So basically, I think from a customer perspective, remember we're talking about the journey, the whole journey, and all. When you are giving your customer that customer experience that they need, it just doesn't start from when they are buying. the service. So that interaction begins from the first touch point. The first time that the customer comes into contact with your brand or with your company or with your product, it starts from there. And you carry them along. So you don't drop them along the way. They've bought and that's it. And you move on. Just dump them and you let it go. No. You. I think it's a thumb rule for us in marketing and in customer experience that you can't do that. You have to carry the customer from the first touch point all the way up to after the sale of that product or service, because you need to give them that continuous experience that they so need. So this is where you see the bridge. This is where you see how marketing comes in and how customer experience comes in. With marketing, you're going to go on TV, talk about your brand, talk about the product, you talk about your service. So you advertise massively. You know, we talked about when you develop a product and whatever, for customers to know about it, you need to advertise. So you advertise that and go all out. But when a customer buys your product because they've heard about it, does it end there? Of course, no, it doesn't end there. She talked about, doing reviews, going on using these polls that we use. Now, they say, Ichalobali Wamia. They've cleaned up the world today. And what that simply means is that everything is easy now. You're able to facilitate everything that you need digitally, and you can get information from customers just on their fingertips, by the touch of the phone. Everything is there. This phone actually can do amazing stuff. You can get information from there. So it's how you carry them through and let them experience. After you've convinced them to buy your product or to interact with your brand, now carry them along. How do you hold them like a baby so that you can breastfeed them? You can give them milk, and before you get to give them the meat and all that, so that they're able to pick and cook for themselves and do it. It's now how now customer service comes in, customer experience comes in, how you make them feel, like we indicated earlier. So it's throughout the journey, even after the sale. That is how we connect these two. I think in simple terms, that's how I can put it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say that also speaks into, I think, a lot of what you've said as well. I think something that we neglect as businesses in Zambia is the customer lifetime value. Okay,
correct.
So we like to think of the individual sale that is happening right now, as opposed to, even if you have a household shop, you look at it and say, how many loaves of bread is this person going to buy during the course of their lifetime, provided they still stay in this area? So if you look at that and say, bread is what? 20 kwacha, they buy an average of maybe 2 loaves a week.
2 loaves a day.
Big family.
Okay, fine.
I was also shocked for a bit.
On average,
Not me.
Sure. You buy 2 loaves a week.
Maybe if there's avocado.
Okay, I stopped. You keep multiplying, then you realize that, hey, this one person that comes here, this is how much money I will get from them during their lifetime. And if we have that perspective where it's very long term, even our approach to how we deal with them, I think, is just incredible and changes our mindset entirely.
That's true.
Talking about customer experience, I think is where then we'll talk about negative customer experiences as well. So the ideal picture from the marketer's mind is that they'll go through this process, they'll have this experience, we have all of these touch points, and everything will go well. But the world being what it is, things don't always go according to plan. Something might go wrong along the way. And the brand or the organization will receive negative feedback, and they then have a responsibility to respond. How should organizations manage those negative customer experiences? I think even from the Zambian context, I think we are still improving in terms of how we manage customer service and customer recovery. So if you can just speak to, that kind of interaction.
Okay. All right. negative publicity or criticism is good for the business, because if you don't receive that, you should get worried. Because you don't know what people are speaking about your brand or about your company behind your back. So it's better somebody. I mean, what would you prefer, Grace? If somebody who's talking behind your back and you don't know about it, or somebody who actually is backbiting you in your presence? That's how I would put it. This is how we should take the negative feedback from our customers, because then it helps us to be able to change certain things, the way we do things, and to suit your customer, just to make them happy and make sure that they continue being loyal to your brand, being loyal to your products that you are selling. So I talked about giving your customers that personalized service and all that. Sometimes if you along the way you falter, you don't do that according to how you've started the journey. Along the way you tend to to go the other side. It doesn't hurt when a customer gives you that feedback and says you are not doing what you're supposed to do, or this product is bad, or they'll give you all sorts of feedback. We've done that. Tuki, who's a fan of food, has had several experiences as well. I'm sure I can attest to that, where you've been going to this particular place because you enjoy their service, you enjoy their food, you enjoy everything that they do, and suddenly something just changes. Will you just keep quiet about it? Sometimes I'm found with people, you go out for lunch and they are so upfront and she said, excuse me, can I speak to your manager, please? And sometimes you feel like, I'm just gonna, can I get this just open, and I go down and you just hold them. But that those people, I like those people because they are giving you real feedback, and at the right time when it's happening, and you can point to them and say this is wrong, and they're able to see it. So for me, you don't, as a company, don't shy away from such things. Don't get upset, but instead embrace those things. I'll give you an example. I think the company that one insurance company that Tuki and I worked for at some point. When I joined the organization, they were not on social media. They were not on Facebook and all that. And one of the things that I said was that for as long as I am here and I'm going to be here, I am going to start this Facebook because it's going to help us to do A, B, C, and D. And I mapped out everything in terms of the benefits and the pros and cons of what it's going to do. I received a backlash, and the entire management, including the board, said that is not a no-go area. We can't do that. And I said, why? And the reason they told me is exactly what you've asked me: negative feedback. They said, what if something goes wrong in the business and people go all out on social media? We are finished. We are done. I said, you are wrong. That is actually an opportunity for us to be able to give our customers the correct position of who we are, where we are, and why we do certain things the way we do them. And if we made a mistake along the way, this is how we're going to correct it. So whichever way you look at it, it gives you an opportunity to either correct something or just improve upon something going further. So for me, I think that that negative publicity or negative feedback will actually give you an opportunity to improve yourself, improve your brand, improve your product, or improve your service. Don't shy away from it, because once you do that, then you are giving people an opportunity to form an opinion about you. And trust me, when they form an opinion about you, you are gone. Because that word of mouth marketing that we're talking about, instead of it being positive, now it has turned to the negative. And people will go about bad-mouthing you, bad-mouthing your product, your service, and your brand. And before you know it, your brand will be gone. If you remember some years back, there was, I'll give an example of Zambia. You remember the bad publicity that went about Zambia? Yes. Where they even changed their tagline because Zambia's tagline was feeding the nation, right? They changed that tagline to embalming the nation because what was the story again? People were saying they inject some substance in the meat and to keep it for a very long time and all that. And they're saying they're using the chemical they used to embalm bodies and all that. And, it went viral and actually they suffered losses during that period because there was a lot of negative, publicity about it. But I love the way they approached it. They didn't, they were not angry. They were not aggressive about it in terms of reacting to that negative feedback. But instead they took it positively and they got back to the market there in a positive manner. And they changed the story. Today, they've actually doubled, if not tripled, their sales because of how they. Exactly, no one talks about it as. But trust me, you go anywhere, even in the middle income townships in our country today, Zambia, you will find that Zambia is there. In town, Zambia is there. Everywhere you go, in every neighborhood, Zambia is there because their meat is affordable. Not only is it affordable, it's also good. I'm not promoting them, but this is just a fact of the matter on the table. That I can put across and say, when we're talking about these things, point to something that people are able to relate with and see. And I think that story is one of them that we can point to and talk about that negative feedback that came from customers. But they turned the story around and it became a positive. And today the story is different. So my word out there would be to people who receive that negative feedback or negative publicity. That is an opportunity for you to make good. Yes. Don't shy away from that. Don't be upset about it, but just take it positively. And trust me, your story indeed will change.
I have...
Do you?
Yeah,
Should I go
just just on the note of negative publicity and so on, speaking to the Zambian market, how good are we as consumers at giving feedback? You're talking about how you go for lunch with a group of people and someone says, I want to talk to the manager. And it's very much within their rights. But somehow you are still like, oh my God, why does he want to talk to me? Let's just eat the food. But that's not what you ordered.
No matter how bad.
It's okay. Do you think we as consumers in the Zambian context, given our culture, the type of people that we are we very good at giving feedback as consumers? Is there a way that the marketer can then create an environment where consumers are more comfortable, or are we already good at it and is there?
No, Grace. We are not good at it. Looking at it from the Zambian context, Zambian people are friendly people. That's how we are known. And we are known to be good people. And very chilled. Yes. And you don't want to offend anyone. You always want to keep a good relationship going. Even if something bad happens, you always want to massage it just so that you don't sour a relationship and or that you want to keep those relationships going. Even in marketing, it's important to keep those relationships going. But should it be at the expense of giving feedback? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Maybe 1 out of 10 will always give you feedback. The rest, they will not give you the feedback. And that is the bad place we are sitting in today in Zambia. It's not a good thing. And we are not sitting in a good place when it comes to giving feedback. Yes, we've got those few radical ones where, like I was saying, you're sitting at a table, you're at a restaurant, and one of you, out of the 10 of you, one of you wants, can I see your manager, please? And if you can't talk to me, I need to speak to your manager. Where's your supervisor? And things like that. It's 1 out of 10. And we are saying the rest will not do that. But are we doing a service to our companies, our brands in Zambia at large, our country? We are not. So I think we are not doing well in that space, and I think we need to introspect, look at ourselves, and say, let me contribute positively, to this economy by giving that feedback. Whether
call the manager,
I mean, if it calls for that, let it be. As long as at the end of the day you are giving your feedback, because it's your feedback that will actually help them. You might have had a bad service at that particular time, but with your decision, with the action that you've taken, trust me, the customers that will come after you will experience a good service. And that's what we want at the end of the day. For me, as a marketer, as a customer service, professional, that's my desire. I want to see myself and other customers happy beyond me. That's the bottom line. Give them that.
So there's now going back to the textbook from what you've said, right? And Grace, your point as well. So I think the first issue we deal with is it's called the iceberg theory. Okay. So when we look at an iceberg in the ocean, the top part is small, but what's under the water is very huge.
The base is big,
Exactly. Yeah. So what's under the water is a representation of people who do not complain, and what's on top is a small representation of people who do complain. So you find that is now where you need to find a way. How do we merge it and make it easier for people to complain? So when you also spoke to the aspect of, is it difficult for Zambians? When we go back to Hofstede's cultural dimensions, there's the aspect of power distance that exists. So it's how do we, as Zambians, view ourselves in relation to people we think or believe are in authority. So there's a gap. So you find that as opposed to the manager working for you, we have this aspect of, no, I can't speak to the manager. And even just, let me use this as well. The titles we use. So you find that in certain institutions, you find the CEO will say, for instance, just call me Brian. Whereas someone else was like, no, first when you see him there, you move.
Go the other way.
Exactly. Already kneeling from afar. So for instance, all those things, I think like cultural, the power distance affects how we view ourselves in relation to power. So it goes back to, I think, truly, you find that in the Western world, that's how come you find someone would just be bad-mouthing their president, say in America, for instance, in public and even on news. Where in Zambia here, immediately you do that, someone is coming to grab you at some point, depending on how you approach the situation. So with that situation, I think it speaks to that. So you find that people in the Western world are very comfortable with call your manager, let me talk to them. There's no way you can be doing that. Whereas here we have a very,
high power distance society.
Also docile for, let me just use that word.
We are very accepting of mediocrity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
call it spade a spade.
Call it spade a spade.
Okay, that's so. Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to add. I like how you said 1 out of 10 people, because indeed only 10% of customers who have bad service are actually going to complain. But another interesting statistic is only the 1% of that 10% will use the correct channels.
That's right.
To complain. And this is where marketing now comes in.
Yeah.
It is our responsibility also to educate the customers on how to complain, where to complain, and even sometimes when to complain.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's actually very important in order for that to happen, for a company to have continuous improvement and continue growing.
Yeah, and businesses should actually make it very easy for customers to complain.
Yeah.
We shouldn't shy away from that. I'll give you an example where I'm coming from. In our company, we have displayed big signage on the procedure or processes on how to complain. So it starts from there, and because our belief is that every handler or every employee should be able to handle any situation from coming from a customer. If they are not able to, they will pass it on to the next person, their supervisor, and their supervisor should be able to handle it. If they can't, the next person who is a manager probably should handle that. If they can't, it will move, but it shouldn't even get that far. And if within the company you fail to resolve that customer complaint, it will now go outside your organization. It will go probably, if you've got in an industry that is regulated, they'll go to your regulator and complain there, and probably your regulator will come in to try and help resolve that situation. But it shouldn't get to that extent. So very, very critical. What you've said, Tuke, is just make sure that you help the customer, make it easy for them to be able to give you that feedback. And like we're saying, The world has been cleaned up now. Everything is easy for us. These digital platforms that we have, let's make it easy and let people be able to reach us, and we help them and resolve those challenges.
Yeah, that's true. Getting into the future of customer experience, what are some of the emerging trends in customer experiences that businesses should prepare for?
Okay, I'll refer you to this. So some emerging trends include increased personalization through data analytics and integration of augmented reality for interactive experiences. Sometimes companies don't want to focus much on that, but that is the future. That is where we are going, because trust me, going forward, people are afraid with the introduction of artificial intelligence and all that. Technology and all that. People are afraid that what's going to happen in the future. Are we going to have jobs? Why are we even going to school? To study marketing, to study this. We won't never have jobs and all that. But trust me, jobs will still be there. Jobs will still be there. What technology does is that it just enhances how we do things. So there are things, for example, that you do on a routine basis. A customer walks into your organization and they're asking simple questions that have been asked for 100 years and all that. Why not package those, automate them, and put them on the frequently asked questions and all that? And it becomes like all those routine things that you do on a daily basis. Let something help you to do that, so that you shift your attention on doing strategic things that will respond immediately to your customer needs. Be able to do that. That's bridging the gap now with your customer experience now, because at the end of the day, you still need to give them that personal touch, the human experience, the human interaction, part of it. So that's where the future is, and that's where it's going. So you have to be able to do that. Why human interaction is very important is because only a human being will empathize with you, Grace.
Yes.
A machine will not. Technology will not. So there's a point where technology will end, and where a human intervention, a human aspect of it comes in and picks it up and helps you, to be able to do that. So that's where the future is. But we need to be able to know, as brands, as organizations, how do we balance the two, just so that we don't leave our employees or don't leave people and customers behind, but we carry these things along. How do we, juggle the two, and how do we balance the act so that the customer doesn't lose out and the business at the end of the day doesn't lose out? So we need to be able to bridge that gap and be able to move forward. Trust me, today, even when this technology, AI was coming in, those organizations that immediately embraced it, right now they are many steps ahead of those that did not, pick it up. It's now they're saying, okay, I think maybe it works. But this is when they are realizing that it can actually help them in their business. But they are lagging behind, but they can always catch up. And that is where the future, is going. And there are so many things that have been made easy, made simple. Why not embrace those? And but still not leave what has worked. Let's not drop what has worked and what's been working. Let's still embrace that and run with it, just improve upon it, and I think we'll be able to do that. But one important aspect also when we talk about the future and the customer service and the experience is we need to invest so much in training. Let's invest in training our staff in that area, because you can introduce a lot of things, but you don't train them. Then it means there will be a problem with the users now. They won't be able to use them effectively. And trust me, there will be a challenge with change. So if you introduce something new in the business, for members of staff to adapt to that change, they will struggle. They will actually resist the change. But train them. In my previous life, even where I am currently, we embrace so much training in customer service for everybody, including the guard.
Oh, nice.
I'll give you an example. There was one time when the company I was working in, the managing director, who was fairly new in that organization, the day he was reporting, so he drives in and he goes to park because he was given an orientation. So he knew even where he was supposed to park. So he drives in, goes and parks right where the managing director, is supposed to park. Boy, oh boy, the guard rest from wherever he was from his post. Rushed to before you switch off your engine, please drive out. You can't park here. This is reserved parking and whatever. But the approach and all that. So politely, that boss actually looked at him and he listened to the instruction. He started the engine again and reversed out of the parking lot and went and parked where the guard actually had directed him. And there from he knew that I need to do training for these people.
This person, yes.
I don't blame him and I will not be upset and mad with him, but he's lacking something. He doesn't know. So I need to help him to know what he's supposed to do. And this is outsourced service, security services. It's a company that is offering security services. He's doing his job. But he doesn't know how to treat customers, fairly. So this is where it comes in. We also need to train our people. It doesn't matter. It can be a guard, the cleaner, whoever, a office orderly, the clerk. Train everybody from the lowest person to the highest person there in the business, the whole chain, because all these people are interacting with your customer. As much as they are with the brand, they are interacting with the customer. Whether they're in the mainstream business, line of business that you're doing, train them so that they know the basics, because you can lose a big deal just by the entrance.
From the gate,
the guard might allow, they come to the reception. The receptionist can mess up the customer and you lose a big deal just there before it even goes anywhere else. So that's very, very critical and it's very important looking at the future of where we are going as a people and economically to help us a great deal.
Oh, yes.
The automation one, I think I had an example that came to mind is... the ZRA website. I don't know if you guys have seen Zax.
Yes. The AI bot?
Yes, the AI bot. And I think that one, before even the rise of ChatGPT, they had that robot there. Basic questions, basic information that you need, it can give you. So that automation is there and the use of AI is there. And I think ZRA are one of the service providers that get a lot of
backlash,
negative feedback. But I think it's a useful tool that just came to mind when you were talking about that automation and, that can be used.
For me, what I've picked out is I think the story that you ended with and how important interactions are. I think we call them, is it service touch points?
Yes.
Like you've said, a company that's outsourcing so much. You said the guards are outsourced, the cleaners are outsourced, maybe to a great extent, even the receptionist is outsourced. So when it comes to that, it's it's very important because those people at the end of the day represent your brand or your organization. If I had a bad experience at your organization through the guard, I'm not going to say it was the security company. No, I'm going to say it's your company. And what we need to remember is our brand is not what we say it is. It's what your customer says it is. So that interaction for me is very, very important.
Correct. And you know what you said, Tuki, actually, if you take that position as a company, you are making a very, very big mistake. You need to listen to your customer because what the customer is saying is actually where the truth lies. Not what you're thinking about yourself. Because I can position myself in a particular way and think I'm right and I'm correct and I run like that. And meanwhile, people are shunning me and I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? And they just, but it is what it is. So we just need to, because in most cases, what the customer says is actually close to the truth. And you have to act on that and it will help you going forward. Outsourced services like customer service, call center services, for example. That's a typical example. Those people are not part of you. They are just strange people. Some of them you've never even met them in your life. But they represent you in a very, very big way because they are the first people that receive that first call from a customer who needs a service from you. So what language are they speaking? What is their message to the people? How do they respond? How do they react to them? Very, very important and very critical. So if you don't train them, rest assured they'll misrepresent you, and your brand will just be dropped like that.
That's a very important piece of advice there.
Yeah, no, as this has been great. I think every information we've received on customer experience has been elevated. And I think we know better than before the conversation started. And for that, again, we're truly grateful.
Thank you.
For
Thank
that.
you.
But you're not yet off the hook.
I thought I was.
Not yet.
Still have a few questions. So, if you were to pick one brand, product, or service which embodies Zambia and what we're all about, what would you pick?
Okay, I think in my talking too much, I even let the cat out of the bag. I think I talked about this brand. I think without hesitation, I would say Zambif.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I would say Zambif. Why do I say Zambif? Because it's a Zambian brand, and this is the brand that is out there.
Yes.
Remember, Grace and I talked about this. You actually literally find them in every compound, in every township, every hood. They are there. You know, and their product is accessible and also affordable at the same time. So for me, I would talk about this Zambif as a brand because it embodies Zambia's agriculture richness and commitment to the quality that we are talking about.
Yes.
So remember how they changed the story from that bad publicity to a good story, and people still trust them, and they've actually grown bigger than they were before that thing happened. So this is where we are. So for me, I think I would pick on that as a brand.
Interesting. We've never had anyone mention Zambia.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
At all.
In my head, I was like, you should mention that brand.
I
know the brand you're talking about.
That's we've never had. That's a new one, and we are very happy to hear about a different one.
No, and I think you mentioned that we're going to have a conversation on it. I think in one of the episodes to come, we're going to talk about it when we get into service recovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it represents local production and actually supports the importance of businesses in Zambia. That's very critical.
And I think the stability also. They've been around.
Yes.
For a while.
Yes. Consistency as well.
Trust.
Very consistent.
Definitely. That's a good. I think
good choice.
Example.
Is there a marketing book that you feel has greatly impacted your marketing career?
There's been several books, but I think I'll talk about this one by Donald Miller. He has significantly influenced my approach to marketing. It actually emphasizes the importance of storytelling. For me as a marketer, I told you my background coming from the media background as a communicator, a PR practitioner and all that. Storytelling for me is a big deal. How do I tell my story about my brand? How do I tell my story about my product? How do I tell my story about everything that I am doing that does? So it's in the messaging, it's in the packaging, it's in everything that we do from inception when the product is born. You develop that along the cycle up to a time when you take it out to market. So it impacted me in the sense that it has shaped me on how to learn how to tell the story in a better way, so that the customer understands, the customer knows what I'm selling, and how do I convince them? I am coming from the insurance background, and that's the industry I'm operating in, selling a very, 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 very difficult product. Insurance. It's not a tangible product. If you're selling any product which is not tangible, it's difficult to sell. We are basically selling a promise. So what story will I tell you to believe me for you to be able to buy that product? It's very hard. It's very difficult. And we are in a very competitive environment, very competitive market. We are so many of us industry players in insurance as we speak today, and we are all selling the same product. But what would differentiate me from my competitor? It's the story that I tell. to my potential customers, my existing customers, because even those existing ones, I can lose them.
Yeah.
But how do I tell the story that I told before, but I consistently tell the same story so that they stick around? Otherwise, they can just leave.
Yeah.
So it's in what we do. And for me, it's not about being the biggest, but it's in the service that I offer to the customer, the experience and all that will really matter. And without even mentioning it, that thing that I'm doing is what will take me to the top.
Yeah. Awesome. They do say the experience you create is the marketing you do not have to buy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Precisely.
So in a very competitive industry, it may not be about the advertising and the promotion and the product that is difficult to sell. It's about the experience that the customers are going to talk about to the next person.
Yeah.
I think just to add on to that as well, a lot of marketing that's usually done sometimes is we only want to use one side of the brain. But as human beings, at our basic core, storytelling is a part of us since time immemorial, from people writing in cave walls to, the stories, to rewriting books. And so I think it's very important that we can use both sides of the brain, the emotional and the logical.
Right.
And immediately we bring in like the story aspect, it makes it, that's when I think it makes it stick, and people can actually go, there's a story I remember, and it's about
this.
Yeah.
Is there a guest that you would like to see on the podcast?
Okay. I think I would pick on somebody that has really inspired me. A senior marketer in Zambia right now, who has inspired me through the marketing journey because of his experience and some of the things that we didn't sit on a desk for him to teach, but just the way he does things, you learn a lot, from him. You learn a lot from them. Sorry, I'll drop two names if you don't mind. I'll drop two names.
It's fine. But we also want you to connect us to them.
I'll drop two names. Yeah, I'll talk about Evans Mohanga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Evans Mohanga is a former president for the Zambia Institute of Marketing. Yes. He was is a past president of the Zambia Institute of Marketing. He's done a lot in his career as a marketer, spanning many years down the line, from the days of the Zane, or Celtel, and when it was through the whole journey, rebranding and all these things, and he's interacted with a number of brands just apart from the telecoms, the several industries that he has worked with. Right now, he's the current permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism. And for me, I look at him as a figure of strength, a pillar of strength for the industry, and also for the young ones, the young and upcoming, marketers. You look back at such individuals and what they've done in terms of contributing to the marketing industry. It's amazing. They've done amazing things, amazing stuff, and things are there for us to look at and point. They've left a blueprint. There's a footprint you can always walk through and say they stepped here. I also want to step here, and where they're stepping, I also want to step. They've done tremendous work, and they've made a huge contribution to the industry in terms of what they've done. So I would drop that name as one of the people that probably can come on this podcast and be able to share their experiences and also just guide us and encourage people out there on how it ought to be done. Awesome. Yeah. Very, very, very great.
Awesome choice.
Can't wait.
That's one.
Yeah. Oh, that's one. No. Yeah, and the other one, and I will not say I'm putting them in any chronological order in terms of importance. They are both great. They are at par, and these are great people, great men who have impacted. He's also one of the past presidents of the Zambia Institute of Marketing, Matongo Matamwandi. So we fondly call him Mat. Yeah, the name rhymes well when you say Mat, Matongo Matamwandi. He's one of the influential people in the marketing space.
Yes.
And he's got a strong voice in the industry. And I can assure you, when he speaks, you must listen.
Yes.
He's one of those radical marketers that we currently have, and we need to hold dearly to such people, so that they can rub off that impact onto marketers like myself and you and I and other people out there, because they've hugely contributed to this industry, great industry that we are in, and they are still contributing. Right now, he's the current CEO for the Zambia Tourism Agency, and you can only imagine how much contribution he's also giving to the nation, because that agency he's running has the biggest assignment to promote Zambian tourism to us local people as well as out there, just so that we grow the number of tourists coming into the country, and also grow the number of domestic tourists like you and I, to be able to buy local, to travel locally and experience our tourism. It shouldn't just be left for our foreign tourists to come and experience that. We have a lot which we need to experience. So these two individuals, for me, I can talk about a number of them, but as guests on your podcast, I'll drop these two names, and would love to hear from them as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'm very excited, because there's one of those two that we've been trying to schedule something with.
Okay. Wow. Great.
It's a secret which one.
I can imagine. Yeah.
When we finally manage. But yeah, thank you so much for making time to have this conversation with us. I think it's been a very exciting episode.
It has been. We don't take your presence for granted. So,
no, thank you. I really appreciate. Yeah. It was a pleasure.
So like we've said, everyone has said thank you so much for making the time and being with us. We don't take it for granted, and we hope our listeners have learned just as much as we have, and that this impacts your businesses and also how you go through life as well. Because I'm sure even as individuals, as personal brands, we should be able to also impact individuals by the experience that they have by meeting us as well, right? Because those are the people that also speak our names in different rooms where we are not. Yes. So thank you so much. And to our listeners, please remember to
keep your fingers
on the marketing pulse.
We hope that you have enjoyed today's episode just as much as we have.
Till next time, remember to keep your finger on the marketing pulse.